All right, we're going off script. We're not sticking to a script today. I'm just going to flow with it. I want to speak with you about navigating major life changes with ease and less resistance. So whether you're going through a breakup, whether you're navigating a job loss or a career pivot, or perhaps you're moving houses, perhaps you're moving cities, states, provinces, or even a country. Whatever it is that you may be going through that is a major life change, which is basically uprooting you from something that you have been attached to, your identity has been attached to it, you are attached to it in some major way, but it is now beginning to fall away and you're having to move into a new direction. These are what I like to call major life changes. It is something that basically rocks our foundation, shakes us up, and sometimes also leads to a bit of a tower moment in your life where everything that you've built, everything that has been there is now coming to a close, crumbling to the ground. Hey, I'm Whitley Jane, your guide on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. I'm a personal transformation expert, speaker, and co-founder of Soul Sisters Rise, where my best friend and I, Sherry Brown, help lead women in this journey to self-discovery, spirituality, and connection. We're also the founders of the Hey Soul Sister podcast, where we share inspiring stories of other women to uplift and inspire you every single week. So if you haven't heard the podcast, if you haven't listened, jump on over to your favorite streaming platform and tune into the Hey Soul Sisters podcast. With that being said, let's get into today's topic. So the biggest thing that I want to first address is, why do these things happen and how can we look at it from a different perspective so that we can begin to move in the flow of the changes versus being in the resistance and the pain of the change. At the end of the day, changes, big or small, are very difficult and they really do require us to close chapters in our lives. They require us to let go. They require us to step into the new and to form a new relationship. So first and foremost, why do these major life changes happen to us? So if you're going through like a breakup or a separation where that can be very painful, and not everybody can look at a situation like that as, well, this is like a really great thing and this isn't painful at all and this is easy, because at the end of the day, it really isn't, no matter whatever change it is that you're going through. But I think it's really important to recognize, the why in it, right? Why is this happening? Looking at it from an angle of why is this happening for me versus why is this happening to me? And a lot of times when major life changes do happen, they tend to happen in a form of like being unexpected, right? It just comes out of nowheres, or it just feels like it just comes down on you very hard. Right? So the number one thing is like asking yourself, why is this happening for me? So I'm a very big believer in all of the changes that we go through as human beings in this lifetime is for our highest good, right? And even if those changes are difficult, even if those changes are painful, they are there for us to let go of an old version of ourselves that is no longer serving us so that we can step onto the path that is in alignment with our highest good and the version of ourselves that is in alignment with our highest good. So when I say this, all major changes, whether we see them as good or bad, are actually there to support our highest good. They're there to make way for something new, a new beginning, and a new version of ourselves, right? But there is a period of time from the time that that change begins till that change closes. There's this period of time where it's going to feel gray. Almost like, and when I say gray, meaning like it's a period of time where it's just unknown, it's unfamiliar, it's uncomfortable, there's uncertainty, and it's just a very, very uncomfortable place to be in. So when you're navigating maybe a separation, there's like this gray abyss that we are in that we have to navigate because there are a lot of unknowns and we can really feel like we want to give up. We really want to feel like we're being challenged. And a lot of those feelings that come up for us can be extremely debilitating at times. So if I go to the example of maybe moving to a new home, or if you're pivoting your career, trying to find that next career move or the stepping into a new business, there's always this period of time where I call it like the gray zone. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling because it's a place where you've never been before. It's a place where you've had to close the door on the old thing, but you still haven't been able to walk through the door of the new thing. And so this place here where is the gray zone is that place where you're sort of navigating your evolution. So if you think of a butterfly, right? If you think of the caterpillar that goes inside of the cocoon until it gets its wings, that cocoon stage is really a great example of being in the gray zone, right? You're in this cocoon, you're shedding away, you're leaving the old self, and it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable because, maybe it's like constricting, and it's like you don't really know. And you have to stay in that cocoon until you're ready to then get your wings, right? So that gray zone poses a lot of challenges. And I want to talk about how you can equip yourself while being in that gray zone until you walk through the door of your new beginning. Because guys, I'm going to tell you right now, just from firsthand experience and as a personal transformation expert, it is the same in every circumstance. And when you go through that gray zone, yes, it's challenging to navigate, but when you come out on the other side, there's always going to be an incredible new beginning for you. And it's going to be most times even better than what you had imagined. So with that, how can you let go of the resistance so that you can ease in with the change so that you can navigate the gray zone even better? So that as you are in that phase, you can allow yourself to basically surrender and get to the other side with ease. So the first thing would be changing your perspective. So oftentimes when we're going through a change, a major life change, our perspective can really fall into the victim type of mentality. Like, why is this happening to me? I don't like this. I don't want to go through this. I want to ignore this. I want to shut down. I want to go to things of like wanting to fill the void. And so what I would do is encourage you to change your perspective on the major change that you're going through. So reminding yourself in those times when doubt comes up and those feelings of like discomfort come up, reminding yourself that this change is happening for you. It's happening for your highest good. And that as you navigate through this transition in your life, that you're going to come out even stronger. So using some supportive affirmations in the morning and at night can be very supportive, just to reinforce in your mind and your brain every day that what you're going through is indeed for you and is actually a positive thing that's happening for you. Number 2 would be holding on to the vision, right? So oftentimes when we go through a major life change, sometimes it's self-directed, or I like to say spiritually directed. So in the form of like when something happens unexpectedly and it doesn't feel really good, and it's like, I never asked for this. I don't know why this is happening. Sometimes the universe, sometimes spirit, God comes in and actually takes away the thing for you because, again, God sometimes just knows like you're not going to make the move, so God will make the move for you, right? So that's what I like to say is like spiritually directed, right? And then on the flip side, it can be self-directed. So maybe you've had a vision where you've been wanting to, kind of like step into your dream business, right? And that's been part of your vision, that's been part of your goal, and you've been working toward that, but you haven't quite made the leap. So what happens is you're actually unconsciously creating and setting yourself up for that reality. And so sometimes what will happen is things will fall away, things will fall apart, or certain things will come in to being able to put you in alignment onto that path of your vision and of your goals. So again, it's like some major life changes can be self-directed, where we're creating the reality, we're creating the manifestation, and sometimes things will happen for us so that we can now be in that frequency and in the alignment of that manifestation. Or when things start to feel almost like a tower moment, when things just like kind of like crumble down, that can be spiritually directed, where, spirit, God, source comes in and makes that change happen for you because God needs to put you on the timeline of your highest path. So being able to recognize the two and having the vision for where you want to be, where you want it to go, or where you want to now be is a really important piece of being able to navigate that gray zone. Sometimes when you're in the gray zone, you don't really necessarily will always know what's next, like what is going to happen, what's going to come out of this. But just being able to hold to the feelings, the vision of where you hope to be, where you hope to go at the end of it, or even if you don't have a full crystallized vision because sometimes we don't, especially when spirit comes in and it's like a spiritually directed change. We don't always have the vision, but what we can do is hold the feelings and the emotions of what we hope to experience, right? And what do I mean by this is if you ever put yourself in a place of like feeling negative or feeling bad about something, like it doesn't feel good and you tend to like, you attract the things that you feel into, right? But when you feel into feelings of empowerment, of love, of light, like you start to attract more of that. So that's what I'm speaking to, putting yourself in the vibration of what you want to experience more of. Number 3, it's a lot of trust. When you're in that gray zone, it's a lot of trust. So trusting in the divine, trusting in God, source, spirit, trusting that everything that is falling apart is actually setting you up for things to come together, but in the way that is for your highest good. And this is a practice. So don't think that you're going to get this overnight unless you are a seasoned human who's gone through so many major life changes. Like I said, it's going to take practice with that trust. But if you can just remind yourself of all of the times when things were going wrong, things were going bad, and you were going through like hard times or challenges, but then at the end of the day, how it all worked out for you, or how when you look back, you learned something about it, but it did work out. So just thinking back on examples and times in your life where things did actually work out so that you can reinforce that into your nervous system, into your mind, that you can trust. It's safe for you to trust that even though there's these moments of like discomfort and uncertainty, trusting and knowing that as you navigate through these changes, it's all gonna like come together for you at the end. Another thing that I want to also add to this with this trust part, because some major life changes where I'm going to give the example of like moving. I knew that I had this like vision of living in like an elevated type of life where it was like easy. And I had this vision in my mind. I had these feelings and stuff. And then what happened was it was like spiritually directed change where my landlord decided to basically sell the building that I was living in, and I had no choice but to move. So it was like spirit knew that I wasn't gonna like move on my own because I was comfortable there. So I had no choice, but I had to move, and I had to move by a certain timeline. And throughout that process, it wasn't just moving. It was like moving in a crazy market where rents were super high. The rental market was extremely competitive. And it was harder than going and applying for a mortgage and buying a house. Toronto real estate market is just nuts. And then on top of that, it was trying to navigate the different neighborhoods, where I wanted to live, what type of place I wanted to live in, all the things. And I remember actually having to like burn a previous vision to the ground because it wasn't actually what I wanted anymore. And it was no longer in alignment with who I was. And so it gave way for me to create a new vision for where I wanted to live and where I wanted to be. And during that process, I was being challenged by so many people who were telling me that what I wanted wasn't possible. And it took a lot of research on my part. It took a lot of patience, and it took a lot of me staying true to what I desired and staying true to my vision, and trusting and surrendering and letting go. Because throughout that process, I was really challenged throughout the entirety of it. And by me staying true to it, I ended up getting exactly what I wanted. It was like God had already had the thing, the place, the perfect neighborhood, everything lined up that I was desiring. But God needed me to trust, needed me to stay and hold to the vision of what I had requested. And then again, surrendering, not trying to control everything, but just trusting. So trust is a really big factor in it. And finally, the last piece that I want to share with you is the surrender piece. So when I talk about surrender, I feel like surrender comes at the very end, because in all things that I have ever had to go through when it comes to ledger changes, that last piece always seems to be either the missing piece or the final piece. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. That's what I need to surrender right now. Oftentimes when we're going through that gray zone, because it's so natural for us to want to like control from a place of fear, that place of uncertainty, that place of like discomfort. We want to try to control as much as we possibly can so that we're safe, so that we're protected, so that we're secure. But what happens is when we try to control all things, we actually interfere with God. We interfere with spirit, right? and we interfere with what they have lined up for us. We actually create resistance around it. So the final piece that has always been the piece that I'm like, oh, that's what I need to do, is to surrender. So when I say to surrender, it's, again, trusting with everything. Everything's going to work out, and ask and you shall receive. But that surrender piece is realizing that you can only do so much, and you have to be willing to just like let go of the attachment of all and any outcomes. So you have to be able to allow yourself to say, you know what, even if this is a thing that I am super attached to, and this is how it needs to happen, this is how it needs to work out, sometimes that isn't the plan that God has, right? Sometimes that doesn't line up with God's plan. And sometimes, not sometimes, it's all times, God will always have something better for you, or better than what you imagined. So you have to be willing to be open and to detach yourself from any and all outcomes, as well as controlling the how it needs to happen. There are literally infinite amounts of how something can come together. And I always like to say that the universe is always the energy that takes care of the how. So let go of the how, let go of the need to control, and let go of any and all attachments that you have to the result or the outcome of what it is that you're desiring. And when you do that, you begin to surrender. And when you surrender, you let go of the resistance, and you allow spirit to come in and to guide the right people towards you that you need to have conversations with, guide you to the right opportunities that you need to take, that brings you to the next thing and then the next thing. When you do this, you really do allow yourself to go through that gray zone with more ease and with more flow. So, whatever major life changes that you may be going through today or right now, just want to send you so much love. I want to send you so much light, and just let you know that, hey, you're not alone. This is perfectly normal. And I'm so excited for you, because as you come out of this, you are going to be a completely different person, a brand new person, and you're going to be experiencing all of the rewards of your hard work. So hang in there. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. Comment on this video. Let me know what part resonates with you the very most. And don't forget to subscribe. Every Monday, Sherry and I are releasing videos like this to really help you on your journey, giving you practical tips and strategies and guidance to help you on your own journey. Please subscribe, hit the notifications button so that you are notified every time that we release a video. And don't forget, if you haven't jumped over to the Hey Soul Sisters podcast, go on over there, have a listen, and share with a friend who may be able to benefit and hear these messages today. So with that, sending you so much love, and we will see you in the next video.